Do you need to have your own Active Directory environment where you can test your tools and skills? Well, in that video we're gonna be building just that. I already have some small Active Directory which consists of a pfSense firewall, 2 domain controllers, a Windows 10 client machine and 2 MS SQL servers, which I'm not gonna dive into today's video. But from my Discord, so make sure to join so you don't miss such things, I found a script which configures your Active Directory to be more vulnerable, allowing different attacks. The tool is called Vulnerable AD, and apparently it's a PowerShell script which configures your Active Directory environment to have abusive ACLs, ACs, Kerberoasting, SMB abuse DnsAdmin group, password in object description, user object with default passwords. We have password spraying, DCSync, silver ticket, golden ticket, pass the hash, pass the ticket, and SMB Signing Disabled. So by running that script, all these things gonna get configured in your Active Directory environment, so you can run tools and attacks to try just that. So let's just go there and analyze the script and see what it does in a nutshell. So it's not that long script, it's like 254 lines. So let me just scroll it a bit up and let's try to analyze that. So we have human names, most likely that's gonna be the users. We have some bad passwords that we're gonna get assigned to the users. We have groups, so these groups most likely is gonna get created, middle groups, normal groups, and we have bad ACL, so generic code, generic right owner, right DACO, and right property. So this is gonna allow some kind of resource-based constraint delegation attacks, constraint delegation, reading passwords, and so on. Then we have service account SPN, so this account is gonna get added, so we can try Kerberoasting with these ones. Then create users, alright. Then we have function vuln AD get random, so I'm not sure what that's supposed to do. It creates a groups based on a list, so most likely it's gonna initialize all the groups we have there. This is gonna initialize all the user we have there with all the passwords. This is gonna initialize all the access rights and objects inside the Active Directory environment. Then this is gonna initialize the bad ACLs, the vulnerable ones. Alright. This is gonna set up the Kerberoasting, so most likely this is gonna add the service account that was specified in the global variables. Yeah, new AD service account, that's about it. Then we have the Kerberoasting stuff, which is gonna allow Kerberoasting authentication to be disabled for a specific user or users. Then this is gonna create a new DnsAdmin group and it's gonna assign some bad permissions on it, so it's a vulnerable one. Then we have password in object description. It's gonna set up the password inside the description of some users, of some random user. Alright, nice. So the whole thing with that get random function is that during the whole initialization process, this is gonna target some random users, so they're not always static, which is nice for testing the whole tool. Then we have default passwords again, password spraying. This is gonna assign all the stuff for the DCSync, so most likely it's gonna allow a user or group to perform DCSync and so on. At least that's how I think it's gonna be. We're gonna see about that in a minute. We disable SMB signing with that, and we just invoke vuln AD, which is gonna call all the stuff and functions we have from it. So without more reading, let me just go there and copy the code. And let's see if it works in the first place. So I'm gonna copy it and get to my domain controller there. I'm gonna open a PowerShell window there. Now let's do cd desktop. Let's do notepad vuln AD.ps1. Alright, paste the script, save that, and then let's do import module vuln AD, and then invoke vuln AD. Domain name, my current domain name is salesec.local, so let's do that, and that's supposed to work. Alright, I'm not seeing any errors so far, so most likely the script is done and all the misconfigurations have been applied. So the question is how we can test and see all these misconfigurations and try all these attacks. Let's shoot a BloodHound. Before actually testing BloodHound, we need to somehow first compromise a user or get any kind of initial access, and that's why I'm gonna first download Kerberoast, and Kerberoast is a tool for username enumeration and password spraying. So if I go to releases page, I can find the Kerberoast Linux AMD 64 there. I can download that, then I can cd into opt, then I'm gonna do sudo mkdir Kerberoast, then I'm gonna cd into Kerberoast. Alright, and here I'm gonna move downwards Kerberoast to here, of course with sudo, so I'm gonna do that. And there it is, I can do sudo chmod and Kerberoast, and there we are, I can run Kerberoast now. Now, here on the Kerberoast page, we have various options. The first one is brute force, brute user, help, password spray, user enum, and version. So the first one is of course brute force username password combos. Second one is a brute force a single user's password from a word list. Then we have test a single password again against a list of users. Then we have enumerate valid domain users via Kerberoast, and then of course the version. Now I'm going to do now the user enum stuff, because first we need to get a hand of as much users as we can. But for that page, for that case, we need somehow a user file so we can brute force the users and see which one of them is valid. So if I do Kerberoast user enum, now we can see that it requires us a username word list, and then we have the domain as string. So for user files, I can download that Kerberoast enum user list. It's a standalone GitHub repository, which of course is gonna get linked into this video. So you can go there, download that, and here you can see a bunch of combinations using first name, last name, and all kind of different combinations for brute forcing valid Kerberoast accounts. Now with that, I can go to cd into opt, I can do git clone, paste that, of course with sudo. I can do sudo -i to be root, then go to cd opt, and I've already have that, so it's nice. Let me just do ls Kerberoast. Alright, all of them are here. Then I'm going to do cd into Kerberoast, like that. Then I'm going to do Kerberoast user enum. Then here I have to specify the domain, which is lsec.local, and then the DC should be 172.60.60.50, which is the IP address of my domain controller. And about the user file, this is inside opt Kerberoast user enum user list. And from here, that's the bad part. Now we need to choose from all this stuff, and first I'm going to choose this one, A to Z dot surnames. And if nothing is found, then I'm going to do a -z without the dot surname, so the second one. So I'm gonna run the two with that. I'm gonna pause the video and I'll be right back when it's done, so you don't have to wait. Alright, so after a little bit of time, the Kerberoast script showed two valid usernames, meaning that this whole repository of usernames is not that well planned for our invulnerable AD script, but that does not really matter, since when we get initial foothold or initial user compromise, we can then query all the users based with using our credentials. So in that case, we have the jsmith lsec.local, which is my custom made user, and then we have a rogers at lsec.local. We can of course do password spray and try to brute force a Rogers password, but since this is a custom made one, to save some time, I'm gonna use this one. So for that, let's do Kerberoast again, and now we want to do brute user, and then we need a password file and a username. Now for that, we're gonna do copy the very same settings, just do user brute, I believe. Oh, it's brute user. Yeah. Then the DC is that, the domain is lsec.local, then we have the password list. So let me go ahead and create a new very simple password list. Sudo vim pv.txt. Let's do my sudo password. Let's try test 123 123. Let's try QWERTY. Let's try Rocky, and let's try my secret pass1. I believe that was the password for that specific user. I hope that is. So Let me just write that to the file, then I'm going to go back to Kerberoast and now specify the password address, which is inside opt.pw.txt, and then just jsmith@eosec.local, and that should be enough, I believe. 5 logins tested, 0 successful, which most likely is not the case in our purpose. So let me try to see if I got the password correctly. My secret pass1? Not sure, that's supposed to be it. Oh, we don't have, the username is wrong. Sorry about that. So the username does not have a dot, jsmith@eosec.local, and there we go, we have valid login. So our initial users is brute force with Kerberoast. Now we have jsmith@eosec.local, and that's the password. So let's use crackmap.exec. I hope that we use that for the first time in my VM, so we need to set things right. Then we have to use SMB. Let's try 10, 70, 70, 70. Let's say 50, which is the DC. Then we have the user to be jsmith. Then the password should be my secret pass1, and then the domain is going to be eosec.local, and let's pray to see what access we have with that user. So can we first authenticate to the domain controller? Oh, it's 172. Yeah, we suppose that's supposed to be the IP of the DC. 172, 60, 60, 50. Nope, it's not. So it's 60 here, 60 there. And on that we can authenticate. Alright, now let's try to authenticate to my client, which is running here, but it's in sleep mode. So let me just run it again. And the next thing I want to see if I can remote desktop to any of the machines. So I can do RDP to that client with jsmith and my secret pass1. Come on, is the client up and running now? Should be it. And yeah, we actually can remote desktop to that machine. If I do SMB, do I have admin access to the machine? No, we don't. Can I do WinRM to the machine? Please tell me I can. And yes, I can. So in that case, the best thing would be to use evo WinRM. So evo WinRM to get the initial compromise. Do I have it built in Kali? Yep, I have it. So let's do IP to be 172.60.60.130. Then the user is supposed to be jsmith. Then what's the syntax of the username? Alright, then the password would be my secret pass1. Alright, then that's supposed to be it. Let's see. Do I need to specify a domain? Oh, there we are. So we have our initial compromise. I can do who am I, and there we are. We are jsmith under eosec domain. Now let's shoot up Mythic C2. Chain that thing to the beacon, download the beacon, install the beacon, and get initial C2 callback. And with that we can execute some assemblies because it's easier from a C2, and we can see how the actual Active Directory is being deployed. Alright, so first things first, let's shoot up Mythic C2. So let me first see if that thing is already running. No, it's not, so I'm gonna do sudo -i, then I'm going to cd into opt mythic, then do mythic CLI start to start the whole C2. I've already built it. If you wonder how to build Mythic C2 and how to install that, you can check the video in the top right corner right there. So after all the dependencies have been built, I've already set up that tool to be used in SEO with self-signed certificate. The next step would be just to generate an implant, download the implant, and then execute some assemblies to gather more information about the Active Directory, see what misconfigurations we can do, see what our user can do, and so on and so on and so on. Now this shouldn't take that much time, at least that's what I believe. So let's see, yep, should be alive now. Let's do Mythic. Alright, log in there. We have to wait a little bit because when you see this error, that means that you should wait a little bit longer. Now, there we are. Now let's see, do we have any kind of payload types of C2 profiles? No, we don't. In that case, we have to install that. So let's do Mythic HTTP profiles. So I lied when I said it's being already configured because I have Mythic on multiple instances. So we're gonna do it now. Now here I'm going to do Mythic CLI, install, GitHub, paste that. This is gonna automatically install the HTTP profile. The next thing we need is to install Apple Mythic. We can use the Apple agent. I'm super happy with that. So we have to wait a little bit for that to finish. I hope it's not gonna be that slow. Alright, that's been done. Now all we need to do is to install the Apple agent itself. Now if you go back to the Mythic interface, we can see the HTTP profile is already up and running. Now the Apple should get installed. While that is being done, I'm gonna open a new terminal. I'm gonna do sudo -i again, then cd into opt Mythic, install services, HTTP C2 code, and here I'm going to edit the config.json file. With the config.json, I'm gonna specify the port to be 443 and then the SL to be true. Now Mythic already generated self-signed certificate, so this is the third path and this is the key path. It's already inside this directory. So there we are, the full chain PEM, and then we have the private key PEM. With that, we need to just restart the HTTP service, and then it's gonna automatically listen on port 443. Now I'm gonna do it now, so I'm gonna go to here, do Mythic CLI restart HTTP. Well, that's been done. Let's see what happens with Apple. It's already getting downloaded, so we have to wait a little bit longer. I'm gonna pause the video and I'm gonna resume as soon as that thing is ready, so I'll be right back. Okay, the Apple agent is already up and running. If I refresh, we can see the nice log there. Now, what I like doing is to always set up my HTTP interface to listen on. So here I can do like main instance name, the HTTPS, now specify my IP 192.168.74.130, specify the port, and that's it. So it's just auto-define, and when you just generate the payload, it's much easier. Now let's go and generate one. So on the payloads, go to action, generate a new payload, go on the Windows, next, then on the shellcode, because I'm gonna use my packer for this video, then click next, then HTTP, specify the main, and you can see bam how easy is that. Click next. Now rename that to Apple exe, from Apple exe to apple.bin, create the payload, and in 5 or 10 seconds this should be ready. So my Apple beacon is there, and I'm gonna use a custom shellcode runner x.exe, which is built in C#. If you want more malware videos, drop me a comment and we can discuss that. So here I'm going to encrypt my payload with the msvm command, generic custom, specify the payload file to be apple.bin, encrypt that with XOR and some random hash of something, and then call that enc.bin. With that, the next thing we have to do is to actually do Python 3 mhttp server 80 and then host that. Now on here, let me just download that. So I'm going to do IWR HTTP 192.168.74.130, then x.exe and use basic parsing, run that. Now to output file x.exe, and there we are. So let's try to run that x.exe and let's see if it's gonna work. So we just downloaded that. We have some NTP time sandbox evasion stuff going on, so we have to wait a little bit for that. Then it successfully read the shellcode from our web server. Then it gets us the PID of the injected process, and if we check Mythic, voila, we have a callback. Now on here I can do sweep O, just to make sure that we don't wait that much for the beacon, so it's always active. We don't care that much about anything now whatsoever, and from there I can start issuing commands. Like I can do who am I, and yeah, I'm Elsec J Smith. Now, since we have Mythic, now comes the fun part, because that way it's easy to just register and run assemblies, and the one we want to do is to actually run BloodHound first. So I'm just going to do first download it. So let's set up real quick BloodHound GitHub, or actually I need SharpHound GitHub. I don't have that currently installed, so I'm gonna showcase how the installation process is going on. Now, I'm actually more interested in SharpHound, and about the BloodHound itself, I can do sudo apt-get install BloodHound. This is gonna do it automatically for me. On the next thing, I need to install Neo4j console, so we're gonna do that as well. While that is running, I can download the SharpHound. Personally, I had some kind of issues with the new version 0.2.0. That's why I am going to download the version 1.1.1. So on the assets, I can just download the zip file there, and that's about it. I can open new terminal, cd into downloads, and unzip SharpHound. Now, there it is. That's my SharpHound.txt binary, which we're gonna use. While the BloodHound is getting installed, I can do register assembly, and here I can specify the SharpHound.txt. Okay, task that. Let's see what's the status of BloodHound. It's been installed. Let's install Neo4j now, because we need that to get BloodHound running. Let's do Neo4j start. Alright, and then we have to go to this IP and just change our default password. Now let's refresh it, and there we are. The default one is Neo4j. Alright, and after we log in, we should be able to successfully change our password to something custom. Alright, change the password. That's about it. Now we can run BloodHound and do Neo4j and your custom password. With that, BloodHound is installed and up and ready, but now we need the data to get imported. And we can get the data from Mythic. So since we registered the assembly of SharpHound, now we can just do execute assembly. And now here I'm not sure why that's not working. I'm really not sure why. Did the register completed successfully? It's supposed to be. I can try register assembly one more time. Click select file. Let's try SharpHound.txt again. Task that. Alright, execute assembly. I'm not sure why that's the case here. Let me pause the video and think about that. Alright, so apparently the problem was fixed by me restarting the whole Mythic C2 framework, and if you just did Mythic CLI restart, all the containers and the Mythic server would get restarted. Now I did the register file sp.exe, which I renamed to be the same as SharpHound.txt but just the renamed version, and now I can finally do execute assembly. Now it's already been loaded there. I can specify -co to collect all the data from the Active Directory. We can run that, and we should wait and give it a little bit of time. So I'm gonna pause the video now and be right back when that thing is done. Alright, so I think the BloodHound should be done, but again, I'm having some kind of errors with Mythic. Actually it works. Never mind, so it was a permission error. So on the JSmith documents, we have the BloodHound report as well as that binary file, which is always getting generated with BloodHound. So I'm gonna do action download that, and here I should be able to just download it right off the bat, and that's why C2s are so useful. Now if I open up BloodHound, I need to open Tunar, which is the file manager, go into downloads, and here actually drop that. Now this should finish quickly, as soon as I believe, but that's most likely not the case. So again, I'm going to pause the video and be right back when all these things are uploaded. Alright, so finally the BloodHound data is being there, it's been deployed. Now we can close that and we can own our user, so JSmith should be there. We can do mark user as owned, and let's see what we can do. Let's see who can DCSync. Alright, so DCSync can be done from Both domain controllers, admin, KO2Z, and our user. What the? Ooh, so that's first way to domain admin. I was not expecting that. So the script most likely got my user, or at least I'm not sure if that's possible or custom, but never mind, our user can perform DCSync. Alright, let's see about Kerberoasting or domain admins. So amenity, administrator, and KO2Z. Alright. Let's see about Kerberoastable accounts. So we have the obvious Kirby TGT, then we have HTTP SVC, SQL1, Exchange SVC, and MSSQL SVC. So all of these users, HTTP, MSSQL, and Exchange are made from the script and are customly deployed for Kerberoastable. Then let's try to see ACLs accounts. And all of these I'm sure because I didn't touch ACLs in my lab. All of these accounts, Roberta, Christian, Marinda, Abby, Diana Woni, are available for ACLs attacks, which is nice. Then let's see what can we do from our own principle besides DCSync. So we can PS remote into the DC with this user, we can PS remote to the client one, which we did, and we have write account restrictions to the SQL01. If you go to the BloodHound and do right click on the knowledge of the path itself, go to help, and you can find the abuse of Linux and Windows abuse, so that's super nice. As far as I can see, this some kind of resource-based constraint delegation, so we can use that to own this machine, we can remote these two, and of course we can do DCSync to own majority of the machines. So with that, we have a lot more videos to cover because that was just the enumerational phase. In future videos we can actively showcase how to perform resource-based constraint delegation, how we can use password spraying from the Windows environment or from the Mythic C2, and we have a lot more to cover. On top of that, if we go to the domain controller itself and launch Active Directory users and computers, I want to see just how many users that thing added to my AD environment. So all these users, like from the admin there, all these users are added, and some of them I think are vulnerable to password spraying attacks. So with this configuration, and with BloodHound data, we have a lot of videos to go. We have to perform resource-based constraint delegation. We can see how DCSync actually work. We can showcase other types of attack that work inside the AD domain, and I think that should be nice. As a review of that script, Von AD, I am happy about it. It did not break, it worked nice. So all you need to do is to install Windows Domain Controller, Windows 10 client, run that, and apparently you are good to go. So this is gonna automatically do the heavy lifting for you. Of course, you will be free to add as much misconfigurations or users as group as possible and to customize your environment. But with the defaults of this script, I am feeling pretty happy because it deploys a lot of misconfigurations and a lot of vulnerabilities. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed. That's how you can build your own lab. I highly advise you to do so, and when you do, I'll see you right in the next one.